If you're stitching up a three-dimensional poinsettia, there are two sets of leaves that you need to create before you actually start stitching the main poinsettia up. So this is the first set of leaves, or petals really, I guess they are. You're going to put a piece of water-soluble mesh stabilizer into the hoop and stitch color number 1, and I hope you can see that it is a placement line to show you where to put the petals on the top of the hoop. So I have fabric petals backed with fusible webbing. I also have a set of stabilizer petals also backed with fusible webbing, and we're going to place the stabilizer petals down first onto the water-soluble stabilizer. We found that that actually helps quite a bit with the stability of the finished thing. So let's take the backing paper off the fusible webbing. We're going to pop that stabilizer piece inside the placement line, and we're going to heat that with the hot iron there to fuse that in place. Then we're going to take one of the fabric petals, remove the backing paper from that, and that is going to fuse right on top of the stabilizer, just like that. I'm going to repeat that for the remainder of the petals. So there are 7 of the large petals and there are 8 of the small petals. They work exactly the same way, just a difference in the size of the petals. With the stabilizer and fabric petals all fused in place, we're going to go back to the machine and stitch out the next color. This is going to be some detailed stitching on the top of each petal. Now you can see I have another set of petals for this series here still to go. I will be back in just a few moments when we've done the detailed stitching, and I will tell you what we're going to do with these guys. Now that we've stitched out color number 2, we're going to stick these petals onto the back side of the hoop. So I've got a wad of batting here, and I've got it positioned so that I can pop the hoop right side down, and the hoop mechanism to hold it onto the machine is right here. The knob bit's right here, so that I can actually press down on here and not get kind of any bulges going on in the stabilizer. One thing that I am going to do is just trim away the bobbin threads on the back. The cleaner you can keep this stitching whilst you're actually going along, the easier it is going to be at the ends. So forgot to do that. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to take these petals, we're going to take the fusible webbing off the back and simply fuse those in place using that same placement line to get them positioned exactly where they need to go. So now we have the detailed stitching on the top, and we have the plain applique shapes on the back here. We're going to go back to the machine and stitch the remaining 2 colors, but before we do, we're going to switch out the bobbin, and we're going to use the same colored thread that we're using on the top in the bobbin so that the satin stitch looks really swanky and neat. So same color bobbin as you have on the top. Let's go back and stitch the remaining 2 colors. Everything is stitched beautifully. It's looking just as nice on the back as it does on the front because we've got that same colored thread in the bobbin. I'm going to take this out of the hoop, pop the hoop off to one side, and we're going to cut away the excess stabilizer. And you can really cut super close up to the petals and just make sure you're not cutting the stitching line. And once we've got really close in, we're going to remove the excess stabilizer by dabbing around with a little bit of water. Let's see if we can. You almost want a pair of scissors that you're not so much cutting as in just kind of pushing the scissors along, and it is doing its thing on the stabilizer. So once you've got the petal with the majority of the stabilizer off, I find that if you take a paintbrush and just dab some water around the outside of the petals, then the stabilizer will dissolve and you'll be left with a really nice finished edge. And I've got this piece of paper towel here so that you can kind of dab the dampness, and that helps also to remove any little gluey bits. So that's one petal done. Once I've finished up all of these petals, I'm going to give them a quick press with a pressing sheet over the top of them. Now that we've got all of the petals made, the larger ones, the smaller ones made in exactly the same way, there's just 8 of them instead of 7 of them, let's have a look at how we're going to get the design stitched out exactly where we want it on our background fabric.